it is so critical that every person, every adult has the ability to provide for themselves, whether in a relationship or not. Okay? So when women get married, it's so important that they have some kind of a job skill that they know they can work part time if they need to, or they can afford to leave if they have to, that they can provide for themselves, because the ability to provide for ourselves is part of being an adult. And my mom told me already when I was younger, we all knew we were going to college, but she told me that get your education because your husband will leave you for a younger woman. That never happened, but happened to her. It didn't happen to me, but still. Get your education so that you can always take care of yourself. Your education is something that no one can ever take from you. Now, let's continue reading in Why Men Love Bitches. And again, a bitch in this term is a woman who is kind and holds her ground. She's not malleable. She doesn't let anyone push her over. She's autonomous and independent, and she's kind. Okay, she's not abusive. She's not manipulative. She's not bitchy. So I don't really like the word bitch, but a woman who holds her own. This chapter is going to be about money. Why, and I'm going to call this Why Women Need to Make Their Own Money. Even if they're in a relationship, even if they're stay-at-home mom, they quit their career to be home with the kids, but they know that it's always there for them, or that they had it at one point. They're not helpless, dependent little children. There's one aspect of holding your own in a relationship that cannot be overlooked: money. Many women dream of having a knight in shining armor pay all the bills. The part they don't show is what happens after Prince Charming sweeps you off your feet. If he's paying all the bills in the castle, he'll also be calling the shots. That is when the princess stops feeling like a princess and starts feeling like a servant. And all these ladies who think it's so great to have a guy take care of you and be a stay-at-home traditional wife, I don't think you realize that these influencers, they're not stay-at-home wives. They have commodified their stay-at-home wifeness and using their children to make money on social media. And they have people filming them, especially that ballerina farms lady. You know, they have nannies. Like, okay, she's got 7 kids or 8 kids, and she's baking. I only see one. Where are all the other kids? Who's filming? Okay? They have a huge staff of people, and she's not a stay-at-home wife. She is like a bourgeois elite woman, almost like royalty, who can just have people come in her home and make videos of her doing stuff and to commercialize her, lavish lifestyle. But if you really are a stay-at-home woman and you don't have your own money, there is a huge loss of power, because the guy's making all the money, so he's really in charge in the relationship. And then you always are left to wonder, who am I without this guy? You start to feel like a helpless little kid in that relationship, and it can make you afraid to speak out when you don't like something, because after all, he's providing for you. And if you're a fair-minded person, there's something you have to give back. What are you going to give back? Your compliance, your compromise. You're afraid to challenge things because you can't rock the boat because you're dependent on this guy. Okay? Also, a lot of men resent it. I know there are these guys going around saying, we don't care what a woman makes. Those guys are usually like predators or losers, red pill losers. These guys who say that, just check them out. See if they can even afford to buy a house in a city or in Southern California or Chicago or New York. Can they afford to buy a house? These guys that say, I don't care if a woman makes money. Do these guys even own a house? Are these guys married? Are these guys like predators or abusive? I don't believe guys who say that, because it's really rare for a guy to be like, I want to be the provider and I expect nothing of the woman. That even makes no sense at all. He's going to expect something. He's going to expect you to be a servant. And see, she's the provider. A lot of these guys who talk that way, they want to go around and cheat. and have you at home as their helpless little servant who has no power. They're looking for powerless women. Now, when a guy is just looking to fuck, of course, as far as them being sexually attracted to us, which they always are, they don't care how much money we make because they just want our booty. Okay, but for marriage and for a relationship, they actually want someone in their socioeconomic circle. And an intelligent, educated man is going to want an intelligent, educated woman. And also, the number of men who can afford to provide for a family is probably fewer than 5% of men. They need you to work. Okay, they need you to work. So you have to be able to be financially independent. Ladies, you have to be able to be financially independent of a guy before you get in a relationship. Because when you get with a guy just for his money, you have to put up with, you gotta fuck this guy. Do you like this guy enough to fuck him, or are you just after him for his money? And what are you going to do if he's abusive? Or what if he dies? Or what if he gets laid off? Can you take over and provide for the family? We're not helpless little children like Cinderella. That's a fairy tale. You gotta live in the real world. Okay? Okay. Now, he'll never respect you as being able to hold your own unless you can stand on your own 2 feet financially. So, many mothers tell their daughters the following: if a woman gives up her independence and becomes financially dependent on a man, she'll have far fewer choices in life. She'll end up at someone else's beck and call. She'll be at someone else's mercy. This is why a woman should maintain her independence, her full ownership of herself. What mothers may or may not elaborate on is how a man feels about a woman when he has to carry her financially. Before long, he'll feel as though she is an added responsibility instead of an asset. At that point, he'll stop viewing her as a privilege to be with. This doesn't apply to a woman taking care of children. When a family is involved, no doubt she will be doing her part and then some. He won't perceive her as dead weight because he knows her job can sometimes be harder than his. And he can't help but respect her for her work. But when the kids start going to elementary school, a lot of guys are like, okay, the kids are at school all day, what are you doing? They start thinking that. And by the time the kids are in high school and the mom is still not working, she's going to feel like dead weight. Internally, she's going to lose her self-respect and her self-confidence. I saw it. Where my kids went to school, most of the moms were not working. And, they stopped their careers when their kids were born. And then by the time the kids were in high school, they still hadn't done anything. I always tried to work part-time at least because I didn't want to be bored and useless at home. I think that's really an ideal. But anyway, let's continue. As long as you have the resources to choose your terms, you keep your power. If you choose to leave, you can always grab a suitcase and go. This very independence makes him not want you to leave. All the feistiness or sexiness or bitchy attitude in the world won't change a man's awareness that you cannot hold your own with respect to your livelihood. And once you become financially dependent on him, he will feel trapped because you've now become a responsibility and he's something he feels he's stuck with. You're no longer a privilege. He has to provide food for 2, housing for 2, and pay all the other bills for 2. It doesn't take long for him to feel the added pressure and the doubled responsibility of carrying not only himself but also another person. A bitch, and again, I don't like that word bitch, but let's say the woman who stands her ground and is independent will usually maintain her independence and contribute to the relationship in some way because her pride won't allow her to be perceived as a burden on someone else. And she won't put herself in a position where she can't rock the boat, which she will do if and when she feels that she isn't being regarded highly enough. I'm going to add to this. If a woman, in my case, and when I was financially dependent, I didn't think I could rock the boat because there was this imbalance, this financial imbalance. It's important to let him know that you place your dignity above all else, even if you're dating a very successful man. He has to feel that if he mistreats you, you'll pack up and move out of his mansion into a 1-bedroom without any hesitation. He has to feel you'll drive a Pinto rather than a Mercedes Benz if it means you'll be tolerating disrespect. He has to know you'll give up a comfortable lifestyle before you'll accept being misused or mistreated. You have to show that you won't accept mistreatment, then you will keep his respect. And you don't have to be rich. You just have to maintain the ability to take care of yourself. That's it. You have to be independent. You means you can stand on your own with or without him. He should never feel that you're completely at his mercy. It isn't about whether a woman, how much money she makes, or whether she stays at home or whatever. The variable is this: whether a woman has the resources or ability to leave if and when she wants to go. But I would also say if she has the ability and resources to provide for the family, if he dies, if he gets laid off from his job. This is very important. It's part of being an adult, frankly. Also, being financially dependent, a man, when he views you as a little girl or a sister he has to take care of, the passion diminishes. He doesn't want to make love to his sister. It's just like the guy who's the people pleaser, and then he's emotionally needy, and then the woman feels like he's a little boy wanting mommy's love. That's a turnoff. Neediness is a turnoff. Caretaking is a turnoff for a man as well as a woman. Now, providing is a different thing, but when a man provides, he's doing so out of his joy, and the woman is contributing something, like she's taking care of the kids, or she's taking care of the house and doing social work and doing volunteer work and charity work. The rich women are not sitting at home doing their nails. They're engaged in the community, in volunteering, in philanthropic endeavors, galas, and all this kind of stuff. You know, hosting big parties. They're not just sitting around idly. No man would respect that, frankly, and no self-respecting woman would just sit around like that, frankly, either. The ability to choose how you want to live and the ability to choose how you want to be treated are the two things that will give you more power than any material object ever will. When a man views you as a little girl, he may do things that demonstrate his loss of respect. He may assign you an allowance or tell you how much money you can spend, or he'll tell you what you can and cannot buy. All of these restrictions reflect your loss of freedom and a loss of your ability to make your own choices. This is why it's relevant. The ability to remain an independent thinker is what keeps his interest and the mental challenge. The ability to make your own choices in life is your most important tool. It's the very thing that gives you power. Not only will he tell you what you should have, the man who is paying all the bills will eventually begin to tell you what you like or don't like as well. He won't ask for your opinion, he'll tell you what your opinion should be. It sets you up to be treated like a Barbie doll that he can control. Then the following will occur. He'll begin to think he's entitled to the last word. He'll behave if what he says goes. He'll have control over your happiness and sadness. You'll be treated as though he's the boss and you're the subordinate. He may offer his help on his own terms and you'll wait at bay. In a relationship of any kind, if one person feels the other person isn't bringing anything to the table, he or she will begin to disrespect that person. The ability to take care of yourself ensures that all of the following remain intact: the mental challenge, the respect, the longevity of the relationship, and the sexual desire. So, she gives an example about Roxanne, who is a gold digger who lived with Kent at his Malibu estate. She drove a Mercedes-Benz and made regular shopping sprees on Rodeo Drive. Her survival, her livelihood, and her whole existence were contingent on Kent, a man she didn't particularly care for. Although on the surface she appeared to have it all, she had completely given up her financial independence. Her boyfriend Kent puts $20 bills occasionally in her drawer so she doesn't have to ask for the money. But there was no pride in that. The problem was financial. Kent even suggested she get a part-time job. He said, I'd respect you more if you had a job. Still, she didn't make an effort to look for a job, and 2 weeks later she was tearfully packing her Gucci bags. Being a gold digger never pays, as evident by the headline stories on the news. Gold diggers recently suffered an even bigger attack, Viagra. All a woman has to do to balance a relationship is pay an electric bill with her own money or bring home groceries from time to time. Any of these things express her gratitude. Then the man is happy to pay for everything else. He doesn't have to feel it's always equal, just reciprocal. Granted, there are plenty of affluent men who like having an accoutrement or a Barbie doll on their arms, who they hope will graduate into the steep ranks of a Stepford wife. But this does not mean a quality catch, and this woman will not have any staying power. He'll be much more likely to trade in a helpless, dingy type of woman for a newer model because he sees her as a toy to begin with. What a quality man wants for keeps is a strong woman. He wants a partner who respects and one who's worth catching, an equal. He may provide more monetarily, and she may be a stay-at-home mom, but she is contributing. She isn't on the take, and she can stand on her own 2 feet. This means she is there by choice. Regardless of how pretty a woman looks, looks alone will not sustain his respect. Appearance may pull him in, but it's your independence that will keep him turned on. And we want him turned on, right? Right, ladies, we want him turned on. Dignity and pride aren't about whether you pull money out of a drawer, a sack, or a wallet. If you have an income, however small, it enables you to do the following 5 things. Live by your own rules. Move to your rhythm instead of dancing to the beat of someone else's drum. Decide how you want to be treated. Choose what you will or will not tolerate. Leave if you don't get what you want. While conducting research for this book, I was surprised to find that generally speaking, men don't mind picking up the tab on a date. What they do mind is the overriding sense that women act as if they're entitled to it or they expect it. If he pays, it's always best to help him realize that you took time to notice that he went out of his way and that you're grateful, that you appreciate him. Men are frustrated with women who lack gratitude and automatically want a man to pay. Many men enjoy feeling like the provider as long as they feel appreciated for what they give. Granted, some women refuse to have a man open doors or pick up a tab. They refuse to be paid for. A bitch has no problem and no issues surrounding being treated well, so she lets a man give and she allows herself to receive. The nice girl who won't allow herself to be treated to dinner deep down usually doesn't want to feel obligated to a man, and she knows she will if he pays for dinner. The bitch has no such complex. She says thank you politely and graciously. At no time does she feel guilty or obligated, nor does she feel compromised in any way. I kind of disagree with that, but I do not. For me, receiving is about someone that I actually already like. So the amount that I let myself receive is kind of correlated to how much I'm interested in the guy. Because receptivity is a gift that I offer to someone based on their contribution. Like, I will let a man open the door, but to pay for a nice dinner, I don't want that unless I already like him, you know? And I feel like we're at that place where it makes sense. But that's just me. If he's a student or is truly struggling financially, but he still wants to impress you, he'll suggest doing something that costs less or something that doesn't cost anything at all. He can grab some inexpensive wine and a blanket or take you to a beautiful park. He can get movie screening tickets, invite you to a party. If he's absolutely crazy about you, he won't let you pay for the tab or go Dutch. Let's see. People will show you they have self-respect simply by virtue of the fact that they want to carry their own weight. The bitchier woman would never let a man think that she's there because she has nowhere else to go. Her financial independence is a constant reminder to him, however subtle, that if he makes her stay unpleasant, she won't be staying for very long. This ensures that the relationship remains respectful, reciprocal, and kind to all. So, I forgot what I was going to call this video. Gosh, coming up with catchy titles is not always that easy. You know, it has to do with the Cinderella complex and these women thinking that they want a man to provide for them, but there's a huge loss of power. And you become a servant when you lose your financial independence. You can't speak up. You don't have the power. What are you going to do? Leave? You can't leave. You know, it doesn't mean you have to work, especially if you have kids, but you have to be able to work. You have to be able to provide for yourself. It's called being an adult. That's, thank you for watching my video.